I'm up to my elbows in broken watch springs at Hartwell Jewelry when my wife Jennifer texts me. My friend Ivan is in town, staying at his hotel to catch up on old times. Don't be insecure about it. I stare at the screen for a full 30 seconds before typing back. Sounds wonderful, but I'm already picturing her shocked face when she tries to unlock our apartment door tonight and finds nothing but cold metal clicking back at her. The thing about running a third-generation jewelry store in this fading New England mill town is that you learn to spot fake stones from across the counter. And right now, my marriage feels like the biggest imitation diamond I've ever been handed. Jennifer's been pulling these late nights for weeks now, coming home with stories that don't quite line up, coffee meetings that smell like wine, the book club discussions about authors I know she's never read, and always, this mysterious new friend Ivan with his fascinating European perspective and his digital nomad lifestyle. I've been married to Jennifer for 4 years. I know when she's lying. The bell above my shop door chimes, and Mrs. Patterson shuffles in with her late husband's pocket watch. Same routine every month. She brings it in for cleaning. I pretend there's something to fix. She pays me $20 and feels like she's keeping his memory alive. It's a small kindness in a world that doesn't offer many. "How's Jennifer's little coffee shop doing?" Mrs. Patterson asks while I examine the pristine watch mechanism. "Thriving," I lie smoothly. "She's got some new business partnerships developing." If only she knew how true that was. After Mrs. Patterson leaves, I lock up early and head home to our apartment above the old Woolworth building. Jennifer won't be back until after 10, another inventory meeting with her staff. But I know better now because yesterday I found her tablet left open on the kitchen counter. The messages were all there, months of them. Yvonne wasn't just some friend passing through town. He was her ex from college, the one she claimed was probably married with kids by now. The one she said she'd lost touch with completely. Except they'd been texting every day for 3 months, and the conversation had moved far beyond casual catching up. The photos were worse than the words. Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. But here's the thing that really got me. Buried in their message thread was a running joke about me. "He's so clueless," Jennifer had written. "I could probably tell him you're staying here and he'd believe it." Ivan's response, "Poor guy probably thinks I'm interested in men." They weren't just betraying me, they were laughing about it. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Danny Morrison, my buddy who runs Morrison Moving Services. 3 rings, and he picks up. "Alex, what's going on, man?" "I need a favor, Danny, tonight. Cash job." "What kind of favor?" "The kind where you don't ask questions and I pay you double your usual rate." Danny's quiet for a moment. We've been friends since high school, and he knows I'm not the dramatic type. "How soon do you need me?" "Give me 2 hours to pack. Then we move fast." "I'll bring the truck." I spend the next hour methodically packing every single item that belongs to Jennifer. Her clothes, her books, her coffee equipment, her precious collection of vintage postcards. Everything goes into boxes with the care and precision I usually reserve for setting gemstones. Each item wrapped, labeled, and stored like I'm preparing for the world's most thorough divorce proceeding, because maybe I am. Danny arrives at 8:30 with his truck and his younger brother, Pete. They don't ask questions when they see the mountain of boxes, just start loading efficiently. Professional movers understand that sometimes people need to relocate their lives quickly and quietly. The storage unit I rented is out on Route 9, one of those places that advertises climate-controlled, but really just means they keep the heat on enough to prevent everything from freezing solid. Unit 47B is 10 by 12 feet of concrete and regret, but it'll do. By 10 o'clock, Jennifer's entire existence has been relocated to a space that costs $68 a month. Danny hands me the receipt. "You sure about this, Alex?" "Never been more sure of anything in my life." "She's really stepping out on you?" I show him one of the text message screenshots I took with my phone. His face goes hard. "Damn, man, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be thorough. Make sure we didn't miss anything." We do one final sweep of the apartment. Jennifer's coffee mug from this morning goes in the last box, her spare phone charger. The romance novel she left bookmarked on page 47. When they leave, I change the locks. The new mechanism slides into place with a satisfying click, the sound of one story ending and another beginning. Then I sit down at my kitchen table and write Jennifer a note. "Since you're so busy catching up with Ivan, I thought I'd save you the trouble of coming home. All your belongings are in storage unit 47B at Secure Space on Route 9. The first month is paid. After that, it's your responsibility. The locks have been changed. Don't bother calling. I've got nothing left to say that you haven't already heard through your bedroom wall. Alex. I tape the note to the front door where she can't miss it, then settle in to wait. She arrives at 11:47 p.m. I'm sitting in the dark by my living room window, watching the street. Her little Honda pulls up, and she sits in the car for almost 5 minutes before getting out, probably texting Ivan about how late she is. I watch her climb the stairs to our front door, watch her fumble with her keys, watch her try the handle 3 times before she sees the note. Even from 2 floors up, I can hear her gasp. She pounds on the door. Alex, open this door right now. I don't move. I know you're in there. This is insane. You can't just lock me out of my own apartment. Actually, I can. The lease is in my name. Has been since before we got married. She tries calling my phone. I've already blocked her number. 20 minutes later, a car pulls up. Ivan, I assume, coming to rescue his damsel in distress. I watch them have what looks like a heated discussion on the sidewalk. Jennifer keeps pointing up at the apartment. Ivan keeps shaking his head. Finally, they get in his car and drive away. I pour myself a glass of the good whiskey, the bottle Jennifer bought me for my birthday and then complained was too expensive, and toast my empty apartment. Here's to new beginnings, I say to no one in particular. Tomorrow, the real fun starts. The beauty of living in a small town is that everyone knows everyone else's business. The curse of living in a small town is that everyone knows everyone else's business. I'm counting on both sides of that equation working in my favor. Jennifer's coffee shop, The Daily Grind, sits on Main Street between Murphy's Hardware and what used to be a Radio Shack. She opened it 3 years ago with money from her father and dreams of creating a literary hub for the community. What she actually created was a place where the town gossips gather every morning to dissect their neighbors' lives over overpriced lattes. Perfect. I arrive at 7 a.m., 30 minutes before Jennifer usually opens. Her Honda isn't in the back lot yet, which means she probably spent the night at Ivan's hotel. I park across the street at Murphy's and wait. At 7:15, a familiar pickup truck pulls up. That's Walt Morrison, Danny's uncle and the owner of the old Riverside boxing gym. Walt's been getting his coffee from Jennifer's place every morning for 2 years, mostly because he's got a soft spot for small business owners trying to make it in a tough economy. Walt's also the biggest gossip in 3 counties, despite looking like he could bench press a Buick. I cross the street and intercept him at the coffee shop door. Morning, Walt. Alex, how's business? Could be better. Listen, you might want to try Murphy's coffee this morning. Jennifer's having some personal difficulties. Walt's eyes light up like Christmas morning. What kind of difficulties? The kind where she's been staying at the Riverside Hotel with her college boyfriend while telling me she's working late. No kidding? I show him one of the screenshots on my phone. Not the explicit stuff. I'm not that cruel. Just enough to confirm that Jennifer's been lying to everyone about her evening activities. Walt whistles low. Damn, son. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just, you know how it is. Word gets around. It surely does. By 8 a.m., Walt's told at least 6 people. By 9, those 6 people have told 6 more. By 10, when Jennifer finally arrives at her shop looking like she slept in her car, half the town knows that Alex Hartwell's wife has been stepping out on him. I watch from my jewelry store window as Jennifer fumbles with her keys, drops them twice, and finally gets her door open. She's wearing the same clothes from yesterday, and her hair looks like she combed it with a fork. The morning rush starts at 10:30. Jennifer's regulars begin filtering in. Mrs. Chen from the dry cleaner, Bob Kowalski who runs the auto parts store, 3 or 4 retirees who treat the coffee shop like their personal social club. But something's different today. Instead of the usual friendly chatter, conversations stop when Jennifer approaches. People order their coffee quickly and leave without lingering. The retirees who usually camp out at the corner table for 2 hours are gone in 20 minutes. By noon, Jennifer's called my shop 4 times. I let every call go to voicemail. The 5th call comes at 12:30, right as I'm finishing a ring sizing for Tom Bradley's wife. Alex, please pick up. I know you're there. We need to talk about this like adults. I delete the message without listening to the rest. At 1 o'clock, Jennifer closes her shop early and marches across the street to my store. The bell above my door practically screams as she shoves it open. We need to talk. Now. I look up from the watch I'm repairing. I'm sorry. Do we know each other? Don't you dare play games with me, Alex. This whole thing is ridiculous. You're acting like a child. I'm acting like a man whose wife has been lying to him for months. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I saw the messages, Jennifer. All of them. Her face goes white. You went through my private messages? You left your tablet open on the kitchen counter. I was moving it to plug in my phone, and there they were. Months of planning your little reunion with Ivan. Months of jokes about how stupid your husband is. We were just talking. You were just planning and laughing and sending photos that I'm pretty sure weren't meant for your book club discussion. Jennifer looks around my shop like she's seeing it for the first time. People are staring at me. Everyone in town is acting weird. What did you do? I told the truth. You told Walt Morrison? Jesus Christ, Alex, you might as well have taken out a billboard. Maybe I should have. Would have been more honest than what you've been doing. She steps closer to my counter, lowering her voice. Look, I made some mistakes. I admit that. But we can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can't do anything. There is no we anymore. You made sure of that when you decided Ivan was more interesting than your marriage. He's leaving town tomorrow. It was just a stupid mistake. No, Jennifer. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on your way home. A mistake is double booking dinner plans. What you did was make a choice. Every day for 3 months, you chose him over me. The bell chimes again, and Mrs. Patterson shuffles in with another watch. She takes one look at Jennifer's tear-streaked face and my stone-cold expression and immediately turns around. I'll come back later, Alex. No need, Mrs. Patterson. Jennifer was just leaving. Jennifer stares at me for a long moment, her mouth opening and closing like she's trying to find words that don't exist. This isn't over, she finally says. Yes, it is. After she leaves, I call Danny. How'd you like to make some more easy money? What do you need? Ivan's staying at the Riverside Hotel, room 237. He drives a blue BMW with Massachusetts plates. I need you to keep an eye on it for me. Keep an eye on it how? The creative kind of eye-keeping. Danny's quiet for a moment. This isn't going to come back on me, is it? Not if you're smart about it. And Danny, you've always been the smartest Morrison in the family. What about Walt? Walt's got his own talents. That evening, I close my shop early and drive out to the storage facility. Jennifer's Honda is parked outside Unit 47B, and I can hear her inside, moving boxes around and crying. I don't stop to talk. Instead, I drive to the Riverside Hotel and find Ivan's BMW in the parking lot. It's a nice car, maybe 2 years old, with leather seats and one of those fancy GPS systems built into the dashboard. It's also unlocked. Some people never learn to be careful in small towns. I pop the hood and disconnect the battery cables. Nothing dramatic, nothing that can't be fixed with 10 minutes and a wrench, but it'll be inconvenient. Then I take out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find the number for Mike Sullivan, who runs the local towing service. Mike, it's Alex Hartwell. I've got a car blocking the fire lane at the hotel. A blue BMW, Massachusetts plates. By morning, Ivan's car will be impounded, and he'll have to pay $200 to get it back. It's not much, but it's a start. Ivan finds me at Murphy's Hardware the next morning, buying a new lock for my back door. He's exactly what I expected. Tall, dark hair with just enough gray at the temples to seem distinguished, dressed in clothes that probably cost more than I make in a week. The kind of man who mistakes charm for character. You must be Alex, he says, extending his hand like we're old friends meeting at a reunion. I ignore the handshake. And you must be the reason my marriage ended. I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. You've been sleeping with my wife for months. She's been lying to me about it. Pretty straightforward situation. Yvain glances around the hardware store. Murphy's behind the counter, pretending not to listen while obviously hanging on every word. 2 other customers have stopped browsing to watch the show. Perfect audience. Look, Alex, I understand you're upset. Upset? I laugh, and it comes out harder than I intended. I'm not upset. I'm impressed. It takes real skill to seduce someone's wife and convince her that her husband is too stupid to notice. It wasn't like that. What was it like, Ivan? Enlighten me. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you rolled into town, looked up your old college girlfriend, and decided to see if she was still interested in reliving her glory days. Ivan's composure starts to crack. Jennifer told me your marriage was already over. She said you two were basically roommates. Jennifer told you a lot of things. Did she tell you about the joint checking account she's been using to pay for your hotel dinners? Did she tell you about the credit cards she maxed out buying new clothes for your dates? That hits home. Ivan's eyes widen slightly. Oh, she didn't mention the financial part? Interesting. I guess when you're playing house with someone else's wife, you don't worry about who's paying the bills. I never asked her to pay for anything, but you let her. Every romantic dinner, every bottle of wine, every night at that hotel, you let my wife spend my money to subsidize your vacation. Murphy clears his throat. You boys want to take this outside? No need, I say, lifting my lock. Ivan was just about to leave town. Weren't you, Ivan? Actually, I've decided to extend my stay. Jennifer and I have a lot more catching up to do. I step closer to him, close enough that he has to look up slightly to meet my eyes. That's unfortunate. See, the thing about small towns is that they don't much like outsiders who come in and mess with the locals, especially outsiders who can't seem to keep their cars out of tow lots. You had my car towed? I reported an illegally parked vehicle. What happened after that was between you and the city. Yvonne's face flushes red. You can't intimidate me. I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm trying to educate you. This isn't Boston or New York or wherever you usually operate. This is a place where people know each other, look out for each other, and don't appreciate strangers who come in thinking they can take whatever they want. I pay Murphy for the lock and head for the door. Enjoy the rest of your stay, Ivan, for however long it lasts. That afternoon, Jennifer shows up at my shop again. This time, she's not alone. She's brought Marla, her assistant manager from the coffee shop. Marla's one of those women who thinks being someone's best friend gives her the right to involve herself in their marriage. Alex, this has gone far enough, Marla announces before she's even through the door. Has it? I wasn't aware there was a statute of limitations on being betrayed. Jennifer made a mistake. Jennifer made a series of choices. There's a difference. Jennifer steps forward. Alex, please. I ended it with Ivan. He's leaving tomorrow. Congratulations. You want a medal for doing what you should have done 3 months ago. I want my husband back. Your husband doesn't exist anymore. The man you were married to was someone who trusted you, someone who believed you when you said you were working late, someone who thought his wife loved him enough not to humiliate him in front of the entire town. Marla crosses her arms. You're the one who humiliated her, going around telling everyone her business. Her business became my business when she decided to conduct it with my money in my town while lying to my face. So, what's your plan? Jennifer asks. We just end everything? 4 years of marriage gone? You ended it the first time you texted him. I'm just making it official. The apartment lease is in my name. My coffee shop is your problem. My stuff is in storage. The bill comes due next week. Jennifer's face crumbles. You can't just... I don't have anywhere to go. You had somewhere to go last night, and the night before that, and every night for the past 3 months when you chose not to come home to your husband. Marla puts her arm around Jennifer's shoulders. Come on, Jen. You don't need this. You can stay with me until you figure things out. Actually, I say, she can't. Both women stare at me. See, I had an interesting conversation with your landlord this morning, Marla. Turns out your lease specifically prohibits long-term guests. Something about overcrowding and insurance liability. Funny thing about small towns, everyone knows everyone, including the people who own the buildings. Marla's face goes white. You called my landlord? I called a friend who knows your landlord. Word travels fast around here. You're destroying her life, Marla shouts. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just removing my support from it. There's a difference. Jennifer looks at me like she's seeing me for the first time. I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I always was. You just never bothered to pay attention. After they leave, I lock up the shop and drive out to the Riverside Hotel. Ivan's BMW is back in the parking lot, but something's different about it. The front tire on the driver's side is flat, not slashed. That would be criminal mischief. Just deflated. These things happen with older tires, especially when the weather changes. I park across the street and wait. 20 minutes later, Ivan comes out of the hotel with his suitcase, sees the flat tire, and starts cursing loud enough for me to hear from 50 yards away. He calls ALA. They tell him it'll be an hour wait. He calls a taxi. They tell him the earliest pickup is in 2 hours. He calls Jennifer. I can't hear the conversation, but I can see his face getting redder as he talks. Finally, he hangs up and sits on the hotel steps with his head in his hands. I drive home, pour myself a glass of that good whiskey, and start planning my next move. Because Yvonne was right about one thing. This isn't over yet. The thing about small towns that outsiders never understand is that they're not just communities. They're ecosystems. Everyone has a role, everyone knows their place, and when someone disrupts the balance, the whole system responds to restore order. I've lived here my entire life. I know how the ecosystem works. Jennifer, despite being here for 4 years, never quite figured it out. She saw her coffee shop customers as individual transactions instead of understanding that they were all connected, all talking to each other, all part of a network that stretched through every business, every family, every social circle in town. Now that network is working for me, it starts small. Mrs. Chen mentions to her dry cleaning customers that she's been getting her morning coffee at the diner instead of Jennifer's place. Just feels more comfortable there, she says without elaborating, but everyone knows what she means. Bob Kowalski tells his auto parts customers that he heard Jennifer's been having personal problems and maybe they should give her some space. Let her work things out, he suggests while steering them toward Murphy's coffee pot. Walt Morrison, bless his gossipy heart, spreads the word at the boxing gym that Alex Hartwell is going through a tough time and could use some community support. His wife stepped out on him, Walt explains to anyone who'll listen, with some city boy who thinks he's better than us. By the end of the week, Jennifer's daily customer count has dropped by 60%. I know this because Danny Morrison's girlfriend works at the bank, and she processes Jennifer's daily deposits. Word is that Jennifer's been making frantic calls to her suppliers, asking for extended payment terms. The coffee shop isn't the only business feeling the pressure. Ivan's extended stay at the Riverside Hotel has become increasingly uncomfortable. The air conditioning in his room keeps malfunctioning. The Wi-Fi goes down every time he tries to work. His breakfast orders get mixed up. The housekeeping staff somehow keeps missing his room. None of this is coincidental. Mike Sullivan, who towed Ivan's car, happens to be married to the hotel manager's sister. Walt Morrison's nephew works maintenance at the hotel. The woman who runs the front desk goes to the same church as Mrs. Patterson. Everyone's connected. Everyone's talking. And everyone's decided that Ivan isn't welcome here. I'm in my shop on Thursday afternoon, setting a stone in an engagement ring for Tom Bradley's son, when Jennifer appears at my counter. She looks exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, clothes that haven't been ironed, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail that suggests she's given up on appearances. "We need to talk," she says. "We've talked, several times. My business is falling apart, Alex. That's unfortunate. You're destroying my livelihood." I look up from the ring. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not supporting it anymore. "You turned the whole town against me." I told the truth. What the town decided to do with that truth is their choice. Jennifer leans across the counter. "This is my home, too. I've been part of this community for 4 years. Being part of a community means being loyal to it. You chose loyalty to Ivan over loyalty to your marriage, your neighbors, your friends. Communities don't forget that kind of choice. So what do you want? What will it take for you to call off your campaign?" I want you to understand something, Jennifer. This isn't a campaign. This isn't some coordinated attack. This is what happens when you betray someone in a place where people care about each other. People barely knew you before this happened. That's where you're wrong. I've been here my whole life. I fixed Mrs. Patterson's jewelry when her husband passed. I gave Bob Kowalski a deal on his wife's anniversary ring when business was slow. I donated to the church fundraiser, sponsored the Little League team, bought ads in the high school yearbook. I set down my tools and look at her directly. You opened a coffee shop and expected people to be grateful for the privilege of paying $5 for what they used to get for $2 at the diner. You never understood that business here isn't just about transactions, it's about relationships. I built relationships. You built customer lists. There's a difference. Jennifer's eyes fill with tears. I can't keep the shop open much longer. The rent's due next week, and I don't have it. That sounds like a problem you should discuss with Ivan. Ivan left yesterday. I pause in my work. Did he? His business partner called. Some emergency in Boston. He had to fly back immediately. Unfortunate timing. He said he'd call, but... Jennifer wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. I think we both know he won't. I return to setting the stone. So, you're here because your backup plan fell through. I'm here because I made a terrible mistake, and I'm hoping my husband still loves me enough to forgive me. Your husband did love you that much, but your husband was an idiot who believed his wife when she said she was working late. I'm not that man anymore. Alex, please. The storage unit rent is due tomorrow. After that, it's not my responsibility. Jennifer stares at me for a long moment, then turns and walks out of my shop. I finish setting the stone and call Danny. How's your friend at the airport? Which friend? The one who works security. Oh, that friend. He's good. Why? Just curious if he's seen any interesting travelers lately. Funny you should ask. He mentioned something about a guy who got pulled aside for additional screening yesterday. Seems someone called in a tip about suspicious behavior. What kind of suspicious behavior? The kind where someone's been staying in a small town for 2 weeks with no clear business purpose, paying for everything in cash, and asking a lot of questions about local people. That does sound suspicious. Very suspicious. Took them 3 hours to sort it out. Guy missed his flight, had to book a new one, expensive mistake. I imagine it was. My friend also mentioned that this particular traveler might find himself on a watch list for a while. Nothing serious, just the kind of thing that makes travel more complicated. How complicated? The kind where every flight gets delayed, every bag gets searched, and every connection somehow gets missed. I smile. Your friend sounds very thorough. He takes his job seriously. That evening, I drive past Jennifer's coffee shop. The lights are off, and there's a handwritten sign on the door. Closed for inventory. I drive past the storage facility. Jennifer's car isn't there. I drive past Marla's apartment. Jennifer's car is in the parking lot, but the lights in Marla's windows are off. Finally, I drive home to my quiet apartment, pour myself a glass of whiskey, and sit by the window looking out at the town I've lived in my entire life. Tomorrow, I'll open my shop, fix people's jewelry, and continue the quiet work of rebuilding my life. Jennifer will figure out her next move, whatever that might be. And Ivan, wherever he is, will discover that some mistakes follow you long after you think you've escaped them. In small towns, we have long memories, and we take care of our own. 3 weeks later, Jennifer's coffee shop goes dark permanently. The For Lease sign appears on a Tuesday morning, right next to a notice from the county sheriff about unpaid taxes. I hear about it from Walt Morrison, who heard about it from his wife, who heard about it from the woman at the bank. Jennifer cleaned out whatever equipment she could carry and disappeared sometime Monday night. Shame, Walt says, leaning against my jewelry counter. That was a nice little spot. It was. You think she'll stay in town? I doubt it. Walt nods. Probably for the best. Fresh start and all that. Probably. The truth is, I don't know where Jennifer went, and I don't particularly care. Marla's apartment has been empty for a week. Seems she decided a change of scenery was in order too. The two of them probably headed back to Boston, or maybe Portland, somewhere they can start over without the weight of their choices following them around. Ivan, according to Danny's friend at the airport, has been having travel difficulties. Seems like every flight he books encounters unexpected delays or cancellations. His business partner reportedly had to fly to Boston 3 times to handle meetings Ivan couldn't make. Word is, they're dissolving their partnership. These things happen in business, especially when your business depends on being able to travel freely. I'm closing up the shop on Friday evening when Mrs. Patterson comes in with a small jewelry box. I found this in my husband's things, she says, opening it to reveal a simple gold wedding band. I thought maybe you could resize it. For who? She smiles. My granddaughter's getting engaged. She's always admired her grandfather's ring, said she'd like to wear something that belonged to him. I examine the band. It's well made, probably from the 1950s, with a small inscription inside. Forever, Margaret. That was my name before I married, Mrs. Patterson explains. He had it engraved before he proposed. It's beautiful work. Can you make it fit her? Of course. I measure the ring and write up the ticket. Mrs. Patterson pays in cash, like always, and heads for the door. Alex, she says, turning back, I'm glad you're staying. Where would I go? A lot of people might have left after. Well, after everything that happened. This is my home. Yes, she says. It is. After she leaves, I finish closing up and walk down Main Street toward Murphy's Hardware. Tom Murphy's loading something into his truck, and he waves when he sees me. How's business? Good. Steady. That's all you can ask for? I stop at the diner for dinner. Meatloaf and mashed potatoes, coffee that costs $1.50 and tastes like it was made by someone who actually cares about coffee. The waitress, Linda, has worked here for 15 years and knows everyone's order by heart. Heard the coffee shop space might become a bookstore, she mentions while refilling my cup. That'd be nice. Woman from Portland's been looking at it. Seems like good people. Good. After dinner, I drive out to the boxing gym. Walt's there, working the heavy bag with the kind of methodical precision that comes from 40 years of practice. Thought you might show up tonight, he says between combinations. Why's that? You've got that look, like you're ready to hit something. I'm fine. Sure you are. That's why you've been coming here every night for 3 weeks. I wrap my hands and start working the speed bag. The rhythm is soothing, left, right, steady and predictable. You know, Walt says, my nephew Pete's been asking about you. What about me? Whether you're planning to stick around town long term. Why wouldn't I? Well, your shop lease is up for renewal next month. Pete was wondering if you might be thinking about moving somewhere with more opportunities. I stop hitting the bag. Pete wants my shop? Pete wants to open a cell phone repair business. Figures with the jewelry store gone, he could get a good deal on the space. The jewelry store isn't gone. No? No. Walt nods and returns to the heavy bag. Good. Town needs a jeweler. I work out for another hour, then drive home through streets I've known my entire life, past the hardware store where my father bought his first set of tools, past the church where my parents got married, past the elementary school where I learned to read, past the empty space where Jennifer's coffee shop used to be. In my apartment, I pour a glass of whiskey and sit by the window. The town spreads out below me, quiet and familiar. Porch lights glowing in windows, the occasional car driving slowly down residential streets, the comforting sense of a place where people know each other's names. Tomorrow, Mrs. Patterson's granddaughter will come in to pick up her grandfather's ring, resized to fit her finger, but carrying the weight of his love forward into her new marriage. Tom Bradley's son will propose with the ring I finished last week. Walt Morrison will stop by for coffee and gossip, and I'll pretend not to enjoy the gossip as much as I do. Jennifer made her choice when she decided this life wasn't enough for her. Ivan made his choice when he decided to take what didn't belong to him. I made my choice when I decided to fight for what was mine. The whiskey tastes good. The apartment feels peaceful. And outside my window, the town I've always called home settles into another quiet night. Some people are meant for cities, for constant change and new adventures. Some people are meant for small towns, for deep roots and long memories. I know which kind of person I am, and I know which kind of person survives.